So reverse mortgages, they've got this kind of stigma about them and a lot of negativity surrounding them. But
I'll be honest, I was negative about them too, because when we originally had to study for all of this, when the SAFE Act came into play in 2008, it sounded like a scam to me. And I never offered it back then. And, you know, it always seemed like, okay, it's another way for a mortgage company to take all your money and not leave anything for your kids. But FHA's come a long way since then. And especially if you haven't looked into a reverse mortgage in the last couple of years, look at it again or give me a call with any questions you have. All this information we're going to be discussing can be found on FHA.gov. That's where you want to go. You don't want to Google something that's 2 years old or, you know, search anything online. Go directly to FHA. FHA's reverse mortgage is called a home equity conversion mortgage. In the business, we say HECM, but it's really HECM. And what the biggest changes that just happened this May 18th, 2016, and it seems like every quarter they're tweaking it so it's more for the protection of our seniors. So, I mean, I can get into the basics with you, which most people in this age group understand what the basics are. Okay, you have to be 62. The youngest borrower has to be 62.
Okay.
But the gist of a reverse mortgage is it's a unique program where you get to cash in on your equity. And there's 3 different scenarios we'll show you once you've done the counseling. You cannot sign into a contract, a mortgage contract, until you've done the counseling with a
I didn't realize that.
counselor. Now they just changed that in May.
That's
you
good.
have to make certain if any of our files are audited, which, you know, they always do random audits for every mortgage company. They have to make sure your counseling was dated before that contract was signed into play, which is smart. You know, the counselors are there for your purpose. There's actually an 800 number I can give you, or just go to FHA.gov, especially if you're online. But if you're not online, here it is. It's 1-800-510-0301. 800-510-0301. You get in contact with a counselor, and it's free. If there's a minimal charge you find online, it's under $125. Some of them are $50, but you might as well get it done for free.
Yeah.
And you can do it over the phone, but most of your questions will be answered there. There's 3 scenarios we'll show you. There's 2 adjustable rates, and then there's 1 fixed. The adjustable rates are the ones that you have the most flexibility on how you're going to take your cash. Okay. All right. And now your loan amount is going to be based off of your age, your equity you have in the home, the appraised value, and then the interest rate.
Okay.
So interest rates are a little higher. Again, you're not going to be making a monthly payment. You have that option, but they don't let you tap into a lot of equity. An example is I have a chart on my wall. If you're 62, you can take 52.5% of your equity. So if your house appraises for $100,000, you can only take 52,000 and change.
Okay.
So that's how it works. So you need to have it's not for everyone. You need to have a ton of equity in your home, if not being paid in full. You can use it for a refinance, but for today's purposes, we'll talk about a purchase. And it can be used for a purchase, and it's unique because a lot of people in that 65 age group want to downsize, and they're thinking of renting and the dreaded rent payment. And then they have everything on top of that if utilities are not included. So it's a good idea, and to avoid capital gains. And this is where Melissa comes in handy, because she can explain all of this as a legal standpoint.
Quick question.
Yeah.
So if somebody if they own an investment property, could they take a reverse mortgage out on investment property?
No, it's a good question. FHA is strictly primary residence. So you can only take a reverse mortgage out on something you're going to be living in, and that is very strict. So any savvy investor, you can have plenty of properties on your Schedule E tax returns. That's fine, but you cannot use it as an investment purchase. But you can go from one house to another house like that way, and downsize, upsize, however you want to do it, as long as it's within your income guidelines. And it's different. The underwriting is different It's more geared towards a VA loan than anything because they really pay attention to your residual income. And all that is the money you have left over after your bills.
Okay.
And it's done by region. So typically they want you to have anywhere from $700 to $1,000 extra after your utilities. And they really dig deep into what you're shelling out monthly. And most seniors, over 62 really know how to do budgeting. So they'll know what they can, and you're only responsible to pay your property taxes and your insurance. You have to pay that on your own. So if it's a purchase, they're going to make sure you've been paying rent on time for the last year to 2 years, and you have a history of paying any type of insurance on time. Non-traditional credit is used on a purchase for a reverse mortgage. So how it works is, especially on a purchase, and you want to get a reverse mortgage, you're responsible for the difference between the purchase price and the principal limit. So let's just say, again, you're 62 years old.
Okay. You're
coming up with about 48% down. So if you sell a nice house that's you're free and clear for $400,000, and instead of buying a house for $180,000, if you're downsizing, instead of, or $200,000, whatever the case may be, instead of paying cash and getting rid of all of your money, you can get a reverse mortgage and put down 48%, leave the rest of the money in the bank, and then that monthly payment you do not have to pay. You're just responsible for the property taxes and insurance, but you have to live there as your primary residence. All right, so that's the key. And then there's the anti-flipping rule with FHA, the 90-day. You have to be in the property for at least 90 days before you get out of it or sell it to someone else. But they really want you to be in the home for at least 12 months.
I've got a lot of questions for
There's
you.
so many different facets to this, and it's an FHA program, but it's done completely different to make sure the senior is safe now and protected.